Is Supergirl as bad as everyone's saying? Yeah, it's not very good. The movie follows Supergirl and Ruthie as they track down Krem, who killed Ruthie's entire family and poisoned Crypto. It sucks because I feel like it did have potential, but just did not stick the landing most of the time. I genuinely went in with an open mind too. I'm not someone who hate watches movies, and I'm not someone that's preying on DC's downfall. I love movies and I like superheroes, but man, this movie just has so many problems. I don't want to just be negative the entire video, so let's talk about the good stuff because there were some actual good moments in here. I actually really liked the scenes with Superman. I love Henry Cavill and I loved him as Superman, so when it was announced they'd be replacing him in the new DCU, I wasn't really interested in it. But then I watched David Cornsweet's Superman for the first time and I loved it. Now, his movie is definitely not perfect, but there's just something about this version of Superman that feels pure. I was sold on him with this line right here.
It's a dog.
Yeah, and he's not even a very good one, but he's out there alone, and he's probably scared.
That is Superman. He values life, even the life of a dog who's not even his. His scenes in Supergirl are so good. He comes across so kind and caring. He honestly just felt like a big brother. I specifically want to talk about that scene where Kara lands on Earth and Clark meets her to get her settled in. This entire scene felt so familiar to me. I don't know if any of y'all have ever had an older sibling who moved out to a different city and then you go to visit them and they just have so much to share. They're excited to show you around their new home and introduce you to their friends and favorite spots. That's exactly what this scene felt like. To Clark, Earth is his home. He loves it and he desperately wants Kara to be a part of that. He wants to share it with her even if she's not really interested and thinks he's kind of lame. I thought those scenes in the movie were actually really effective. Jason Momoa as Lobo was also a highlight of the film. I don't know if it's because the rest of the movie is so boring, but I actually enjoyed his scenes. Now, don't get me wrong, he is very much so just doing his normal thing. It's Jason Momoa playing himself, essentially. But I don't know, when he was on the screen, the movie was a little bit better. These are really minor things, but there was this really cool shot near the end of the film where Supergirl bursts out of this tank thing. It's just a cool shot, and it reminded me of a similar scene in Superman where he rises up from the rubble of a destroyed building. I also thought the heat vision in this movie was kind of cool. In the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of underwhelming. It straight up just looked like laser pointers, but they actually have some cool shots with it in the final fight of the movie. Okay, now on to the negatives, and unfortunately this part is going to be a lot longer. First up, this doesn't have anything to do with the actual movie, but I have to talk about the foreskin popcorn bucket.
I don't like that one bit.
Genuinely, whose idea was this? There are some really cool popcorn buckets out there, like good designs do actually exist. Heck, even this one could have been fine if they hadn't put this jacket thing on. It straight up makes it look like a penis. I don't know who approved this and why it exists, and that's honestly pretty much how I feel about this movie as a whole. I honestly found this movie to not just be pretty boring, but actively annoying for most of the runtime. I like Millie Alcock. I think she's a good actress, but good lord, dude, this was hard to watch. I don't even really blame her. There's only so much she could do with that terrible writing, but holy, her lines were just so bad. It was an especially tough watch for the first part of the movie when Kara is still in her party arc. Drunk people in real life can get frustrating as is, but there's something so incredibly annoying about watching someone pretend to be drunk for 30 minutes straight. And again, I think Millie Alcock can be a good actress, but she was definitely not doing herself any favors with the drunk scenes. The dialogue in this film is also not very good. Which I guess this makes sense when you realize the sole writer for this film is Ana Nogueira, a former actress turned writer whose only other credit to her name is a poorly reviewed 12-minute short film. So many lines are just so bad that I actively cringed in the theater multiple times while watching this. They definitely fall into the MCU bad quippy dialogue pitfall, but honestly, I don't know that we can just call this the MCU dialogue anymore. This is just how people in superhero movies talk as a whole now, and it sucks. Lobo says "gotcha bastich" twice, exactly like Dave Chappelle.
Gotcha, bitch!
And I genuinely think it was meant to be a joke, but nobody laughed either time. Later, Supergirl says a line in the final fight with the main big bad guy that I think was supposed to come across like badass and cool. It definitely did not. I actually think it was pretty funny because she says this line that was supposed to go hard and be super snarky, but then she just immediately starts getting wombo comboed, like straight up violated. It's almost like the writing is actively trying to get you to dislike Supergirl. There's a scene where Ruthie is yelling at Supergirl because their actions led to an entire family getting killed, and Supergirl just yells back at her to stop freaking out. Brother, a family is dead because of y'all. Freaking out is okay in this instance. And there are just so many moments like this that just feel off. We get the classic forced heart-to-heart scene between our two main characters, but it's so out of place and isn't earned at all. The scene right before literally shows Supergirl leaving Ruthie behind on a planet known for trafficking young girls, and she just leaves her there. We go directly from that scene to this deep emotional scene where she tells Kara that even though she's kind of rude, she's a good person.
What?
Literally no character development has happened to make Ruthie feel this way, but yeah, let's have a sappy scene where now they're best buddies. Ruthie as a whole just really had nothing to do in this movie. She was mostly just relegated to being a character for Supergirl to exposition dump everything to. Everything here is all tell and no show. On several occasions, Kara will just tell Ruthie exactly what's happening in the story and why, and it all just feels super lazy. Another major problem is that the entire movie is desperately trying to be Guardians of the Galaxy. People have already been getting tired of James Gunn's style, but this isn't even a James Gunn movie. It's Craig Gillespie doing a cheap imitation of James Gunn. As I'm sure everyone has heard by now, this movie has one of the worst needle drops in history. A cover of The Middle by Jimmy Eats World plays over the final climactic battle, and it is just as bad as everyone says. It feels like they looked at that awesome scene in Superman with Mr. Terrific and said, let's do that again, but significantly worse. It's actually really funny because at absolutely every turn, Craig Gillespie is trying to let people know that the song choice was actually James Gunn's decision. I feel like I have an idea that could have actually made this song work. So in the movie, Argo City is dying and Kara gets sent to Earth where Clark is waiting for her. Kara is obviously struggling after seeing the last remaining piece of Krypton die out and feeling like she has no people. We see her struggle with this adjustment and she turns to music to block things out. But what if we got an extra scene of Clark giving her an iPod or something and telling her to listen to that song? It could become something that comforts her and helps her feel like everything's going to be okay, while also giving some more depth to her and Clark. Then when the song plays during the final fight, it wouldn't feel so out of place because we'd know Kara has some kind of personal connection to it in overcoming her struggles. I don't know, it's honestly just a wild song choice. They probably should have just gone with the Supergirl theme or something. I think the most egregious fumble of the entire movie happens right at the end. The entire film, Kara is being super preachy about how revenge is bad, but then she just straight up kills the bad guy at the end of the movie anyway. It wasn't even an accident or anything. She just walks straight up to him, says, "That's for my dog," and then stabs him to death. It very much just felt like revenge is bad unless I'm the one doing it. If throughout the entire movie you're saying revenge is bad, ew, no, gross, don't do revenge, and then have the titular character kill the bad guy, it kind of just takes a dump on everything you were setting up. I'm not even strictly against heroes killing, but part of what makes this scene feel so bad is that Anna Nogueira just fundamentally misunderstood the character. She's talked several times publicly about how Krem is killed by Ruthie in the source material, but here's the thing. Krem doesn't die in the comic. He is very clearly left alive. Tom King, the writer of the comic, said the ending was never meant to be ambiguous and up for interpretation. Krem is very much so alive at the end. Anna completely misinterpreted the ending and then decided that instead of Ruthie killing him, Kara should do it to preserve Ruthie's innocence. So she misread the comic, and then to preserve the innocence of a character who didn't even kill him in the source material, she made a hero that doesn't traditionally kill do it. I don't know, the writing is just so rough, man, but at least this is the only project she's going to be a part of, right? That does not bode well. Who knows, maybe you'll end up really liking this film. A single person started clapping in my theater, so at least someone had a good time. Granted, that person was a child, but still. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It sucks when movies aren't good. Going to the movies has become a pretty expensive hobby, and it just feels bad when you paid real money to go see something that just sucks. I feel like this hits deeper sometimes with established characters like these superheroes. It used to be that you could go buy a ticket to the new superhero blockbuster, have a fun time watching, and then talk about it after with your friends and family. Some of my favorite memories growing up were of going to the theater with my dad to see the next Marvel movie and then getting to talk about it with friends at school the next day. This experience has kind of been ruined recently by corporate greed, leading to an increased number of products, all with decreased quality. I had genuine hope that the new DCU led by James Gunn would be different and maybe could lead to some kind of renaissance in the superhero genre. I thought maybe, finally, after making so many mistakes in the past, DC would finally learn and get things back on track. Maybe that's on me for being naive, I don't know. I don't want to overreact and say that one bad movie means the entire universe is doomed, but it just really doesn't seem like this is going to be an isolated event. It feels much more like this is a sign of things to come. Anyway, with all that said, let me know what you think about Supergirl and the current state of the DCU. I genuinely would really love to hear what y'all have to say. If you liked this video, please take some time to look at my other stuff. I just started this channel and I've been having a really great time creating things so far. But with all that said, thanks for watching and I'll see y'all in the next one.